Everything that we are discovering now is old technology from there. Everything.
Who actually created these tunnel systems?
Specifically for the pyramids, they were built by the what you would call the Anunnaki, because all systems designed to control humanity need to fall because none of them are actually true. This lines up to taking down a lot of the false information in these areas. There's these doorways that you could walk into. So I wasn't necessarily going through dirt. I was actually showing the tunnel system. And there was three tunnels that I was showing.
Now, before we jump into this episode, if this conversation resonates with you, please like, subscribe, and share this with whoever you feel that needs to hear it. Your support helps us keep bringing this information out into the world and helps us awaken this planet. Thank you. I'd like to welcome back to the show, returning champion, Darius J. Wright. How you doing, Darius?
Yeah, I'm doing good, man. I'm happy to be on this show again and share what I've found and things that I found throughout the years with the pyramids. So
yeah, man, this is every time you and I get together, apparently the algorithm really likes it. We kind of break the internet every single time you come on, so it's insane. I think it surprises both of us. Both times you've been on the show, both times I think they both have gone over 1 million views. It's kind of nuts, man. So they like when we get together, man. So let's give the people what they're looking for.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this one will be, I find it very interesting because when you heard me talk before in our previous discussions, it was about the out-of-body state. And for some people, the out-of-body state could be something that's not verifiable. But yet, even on your show, I was talking about the halls of Amenti, the tunnel systems that go down, even before they'd even publicly announced it. So, you know, and this goes back from 2022 of things that I've been seeing and accessing there that I've chosen not to necessarily share, but just accumulation of knowledge and stuff that I've acquired through targeting, through the out-of-body state, being shown certain things that I think is just amazing that it's going to come out, or it's coming out.
So what we're talking about is the revelations that there is apparently something under the pyramids. Especially the Great Pyramid specifically. There's something underneath it. And to me, it's not a surprise. I mean, it just makes sense that there might be something underneath it. No one's actually seen, except for you, of course, no one's actually seen what's underneath the pyramids practically here. No one's dug in or anything. But what can you kind of, before you go into your research and what you found, how did this story even come about, since they haven't done any digging? They did some sort of LADAR or something like that kind of say something? Yeah, tell me.
Yeah, so it was a sound it's the same instrument that they use to measure the oceans, like the ocean floors. Yeah, so it could pulsate down deep. Yeah,
right.
Penetrate down deep. And so that's what they've done with the pyramids. And they were able to see the tunnel systems of exactly that which I've spoke about in the past. So, you know, this lines up to taking down a lot of the false information of what the science has told us of what this is. And once this is fully disclosed, we are basically on the point of full-on disclosure of technology, races that are actually still here. See, in the beginning of this, I thought, oh, maybe I was just accessing a Stargate portal and I was being taken somewhere else in a past in time. But this is verifiable now, that this is not just a past. Like, if you were to dig down and go down there, you would actually see physically that which I've seen in the out-of-body state, which is the tunnel systems, the tablets, how they were able to put that into prisms of light of information. And I have so much information to share about that. So dude,
this is exciting. I love talking about ancient mysteries. I love talking about the Great Pyramids, how they were built, what's going on with them, what were their true purposes. Was it an Atlanteans who came over and built it? It was Thoth, like all this amazing stuff. So I love going down the rabbit hole, literal rabbit hole at this point with the Great Pyramids. So for everybody, before we get going down the pyramids road, can you explain to people who might have not seen our first couple interviews what you actually do as an out-of-body experiencer? You are probably the most prolific out-of-body experiencer that I've ever had on the show. Not only for like the coolness of like, hey, let's go to Paris, and you fly over to Paris in an out-of-body state, that kind of stuff. But you do it at a whole other level. So can you explain to people really shortly what you do and how you do it?
Yeah. So basically, the out of body state is where you are able to separate your soul from your physical body and access and see things beyond the physical senses as well. And also verifiable things that are in the physical realm that we are within now. So with shutting down the body, I just lower my heart rate to a certain state to where my electromagnetic field of my physical body is so low where I effortlessly just come out. It's no different from when you are in a near-death experience. That electromagnetic field is shut off, so therefore you leave. Yeah. And through this, I've been able to see more of what is, more of the light spectrum of what is. And once the moment you leave your body, we are only seeing the physical brain, the eyes are decoding only 0 point something percent of the known light spectrum. But as soon as you come out, you're able to see records, information, the full array of light, everything that's around you, and tap into history, the past, potential futures, all while outside of the body. You would call it, you are inside what people say the fifth dimension, where you're able to see more than just the third dimensional perspective of reality, where you could see and bend things and go through things as well. So that's what I do. And I've been doing that for a very, very long time now. I've taught many people how to do it as well. So that's even more verifiable proof of testimonies of people that have now know how to do this process too. And now they're doing the same thing.
One thing I've always wanted to ask you, and I think we might have touched on this in one of our conversations, is there a danger to constantly being out of body again and again? Is there a danger of getting lost essentially and not being able to come back, or wear and tear on the body? Is there anything, any concerns about that?
Well, no, not really. I mean, the only wear and tear that you'll get is central nervous system fatigue.
Right.
If you
I
go
remember you
into
talking about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So you'll see when I prepare for interviews and stuff, I try to target a lot of things. I try to go out of my body, see certain things. And depending if I haven't had, a lot of salt water or things to replenish my central nervous system, you'll see that sometimes I could feel fried out or so. But I just do certain things to mitigate that. But it's not dangerous. It's you're never really going to go so far to the point where you die. Yeah. You're always going to come back unless you consciously, your soul will makes the decision, I'm not coming back. And that's the same thing with the near-death experience too.
Correct.
People have that point of no return. So it's never, you're never tricked. It's a full conscious, fully 100% in your authority state. And there's nothing to fear at all.
It is, the one, did I ever tell you the one time I tried to do an out-of-body experience, what happened?
No.
I tell you, so what I was in college, and a friend of mine was into this kind of mystical stuff, the spiritual mystical stuff, and he's like, "Oh yeah, it's super easy to get out of body." And I'm like, "What the hell are you talking about?" He goes, "Yeah." So like, and he gave me this technique of like shrinking myself down to like a small little ant size thing in the room, and kind of like whatever he did, I don't know. So I sat there and I did that in my bedroom, and I'll never forget this. It was such a powerful moment. I'm lying there in bed and I'm saying, okay, I'd like to leave now. I said that in my mind. And all of a sudden I felt my soul leaving its body. But what was happening in my body was the thing that freaked me the hell out, which was this almost like a wind tunnel going, like my ears were like in a wind tunnel, like that. And I'm like, hell no. And I just went back in and I just slammed back in and that was the end of it. And I've never been able to even get close to that again. But that was my experience and also my personal evidence that there's something going on, whether you believe or not believe, at least from my point of view. That was like something physical that was happening to me that I've never been able to replicate. Again, does that sound, is that part of the like kind of?
Yes. Yeah. So you're hearing the, so put it this way. If we were to put dimensions or realms, you're hearing the dimensional shift between you and the soul coming out. So you're hearing that. You could hear that static electricity sometimes. But that's all you hear.
Like a wind tunnel. Yeah. Like that.
Yeah. Think of a TV station back in the old days where you're tuning the station to a different, and then you get the static. So so when you're coming out of the body, that's what you're doing. You're just changing that dial. You hit a static point and then bam, you're out. Yeah. So that's 100% and close to an out of body. But the fear thing always holds people back. That's the thing. And like the moment you have fear in your subconscious, then you're always going to break yourself out of it. And even when you come out, people think that their thoughts aren't a physical, materialistic thing, but your thoughts are just as physical as the physical reality that you're viewing right now. So the only difference there is right now we can't see it, and we're not vibrating at that state. But as soon as you match that state of frequency, then even thought itself becomes solidified.
That's pretty amazing, man. That's pretty amazing. Okay, so let's go down now that we know who you are and what you do and how you do it. Let's talk about the pyramids, man. What's going on? What have you seen down below the pyramids during your out of body? And explain to people how an out of body experience can bring you down below the dirt, if you will, and see things that might be buried or things like that. So explain that process to me, because I understand like, hey, I'm going to Paris. Hey, I'm going to London. I'm going to chill out with Harry Potter in London, or something like that. That I understand those kind of out-of-body experiences. And even going into different realms, like we've discussed in other conversations, and seeing past, future. I get all of that. But how does it, like you're in the ground looking at things that are buried. So how did that work?
Yeah. So you can pass through physical things. Sure, of course. When you're out of your body, but through accessing these halls, I was showing the passageway down into it. So I wasn't necessarily going through dirt. I was actually showing the tunnel system, and there was three tunnels that I was showing. And these tunnel systems go deep down below the ground. And as you're walking down, this is where you access certain tablets that they've had. You access they have a whole mapping system, and I've talked to you about this before. So all that stuff is there. But you see, to answer that question, I think it's best to go back to maybe the beginning, the beginning of when, even before you could say the start of all this. And this may seem off topic, but it's really not, because you ever hear about the giant trees?
I've heard of the sequoias and the redwoods. What else do you mean?
Yeah. So you know the mesas, or I believe that's how you say it. MESAS.
Okay.
Mesas.
Mesas.
Yeah.
Mesas,
Yeah. So those are what people are considering these mountains. But if you type that in online, you'll see, as I was shown in the past as well, even out of the body, that those giant trees were once here. All those giant structures, all those masses were giant trees, giant structures. And this is where you'll see that even the waters all around the great deeps in the oceans weren't as deep as they once were, because the waters are sucking and pulling that in. Now, when these were chopped down, these trees, through the same technology that the pyramids were built with, which is lasers, frequency, and sound. Yeah, this is where you go into the history of the war. But a lot of the original seeds, the seeds for these giant trees, are inside the pyramids, down in the tunnel system, inside the tombs. Yeah, because once you go down into the pyramids of the pyramids, you will find that you access, not just as a soul, but physically. If you were to dig down, you would see the whole structures of the halls of Amenti, even the very seeds of the giant trees that were once here when the giants were here as well. Yeah. And this is even where you go into, at that time as well, there was they talk about carbon being a bad thing. But in that time, there's more carbon in the atmosphere, making a larger water canopy, allowing for this entire realm to be one temperate climate. This is where you go back into history as well. You'll find that all throughout this realm, there was one temperature, a universal temperature. It was all tropical everywhere. And this is that
on the earth.
Here. It was all tropical in that time, because there was more oxygen in the environment and there was more carbon in the atmosphere. And this is where you start to go into, what they talk about, try to flip it in a sense, some of the things that they talk about. In a lot of these beings too, that are still here, there are entities that are deep down within those pyramids that I believe, based off seeing through the outer body, they actually are still there. From the giants to some of the entities, the elemental beings are actually still down there. I would probably place a 80% of, hand on my heart of truthfulness that I believe, based off what I've seen, that there are still entities down there. And this is where you get the inner earth theory of the tunnel systems down there, entities down there as well, because they're still there, but they've been in, you could say, hiding from humanity due to the very war that destroyed a lot of the environment that was once here, the way it was once here. All of the mystical beings were once here in that time of the pyramids being the way that they are. And it's not just the pyramids of Giza, Gaza, etc. That is that structure. They are all around everywhere. And they all have connection points. And some of these beings as well have left this realm entirely outside of our physical senses to decode, just due to understanding their soul, understanding their physical vessel, who they are with the technology. And the best way that I could explain this to you, Alex, is think about an ice cube for a moment. Yeah. So what is an ice cube? The molecules within an ice cube water. H2O, yeah? All right. So you could say that is our physical body, an ice cube, H2O. When you vibrate water even higher, it turns into a liquid, but it's still water, it's still H2O, just changed form now. Now you could just, you could touch it, it feels different, etc. When you vibrate that water even higher, it turns into a steam. Now you could barely touch it. You can barely see it, but it's still water. It's still H2O. And when you vibrate that even higher, it turns into a sound wave. It's still sound in and of itself. That molecule, still water, it's still H2O, but now it's outside of our visual perception to actually see it, but we can only hear it. But you'll find if you were to match sound itself, that same frequency, there is physicality in sound itself. And some of these beings have vibrated just to a higher state out of that ice cube, to where they're still in a physical form, a physical state that we can't actually see, but they could be walking around all around you. And it's only when you meet them or they come down, they could actually shift through the layers of dimensions within this reality that we're in. Does that make sense?
That makes absolute sense, because the other things I've heard about, and I don't want to go too far down this road, but the mythical beings that we've heard about from the gnomes in Ireland, that they're actually is it gnomes? It's gnomes, right? I think it's gnomes in Ireland, or gnomes. Yeah. So there's actual, like, you can go to get a certification on how to find gnomes. It's a thing. It's a thing over in Ireland and in London and England and the UK in general. But those kind of the fairies, the gnomes, those kind of mythical creatures. It makes sense that occasionally you'll see some of them because they vibrate down, or someone walks in that vibrates higher to kind of match them. I was talking to a friend of mine who's a psychic medium. She was in England, and she walked into this place, and she's like, "Guys, you don't have to hide. I can see you." And she
Yes, yes,
connects
yes.
because they like, oh, well, look at that. And they start having a conversation. This sounds
Yes.
wonky as hell, man. Let's just call it what it is. It sounds wonky as all hell. But
Mm.
the idea of the vibration and the frequency makes logical sense to me. So,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, it completely makes sense what you're saying.
I mean, well, this is even where you go into how I've explained to you before the heavens and stuff. This is all it is. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm pointing out here, even before getting into the pyramids of the things that I've seen, is that all of these entities are actually some of them are physically here, but some of them are just out of the visual light spectrum for you to decode. That is everything that they've talked about biblically, to the fairies, to the mystical beings, are here. I've seen them out of my body, and it's just a understanding of how frequency works, how even the very cells within your physical body are not solid. Nothing is solid around us. It's all just
Right.
magnetic fields. Yeah. So it's just tuning into that to get the correct information, which is exactly what you said as well.
So what is the purpose of these tunnels? Like what is it connected to anything that was humanly based, or was this is all in the space of realm of what you're talking about? So in other words, we've always thought of there's the power plant theory, there's the chemical plant theory. There's so many theories of what the pyramids were really for, because they're not tombs. Is there tombs underneath the pyramids that are tombs of pharaohs, or is it a different kind of tomb? Like, what's the purpose of this?
Okay. So they're not tombs in terms of burying the dead, but they're tombs in terms of, replace the word tomb, even when I use the word, how the original giant seeds of these giant trees are in the tombs, replace those with sections within the halls, doorways, passageways. Because once you're in the halls, you will find there in these areas, there's these doorways that you could walk into. And funnily enough, these doorways are all have these barrier around them, which are like this thin layer of water. And I didn't understand this either, why there's water everywhere. Why is always water, water this, water that? Because water is the number one tool that they use also for travel, accessing portals as well. Because think about what water is. Water holds memory of all things, and this is scientifically proven as well. You put a word on water, or actually start to, when you freeze it, it will actually take shape of what that is. So it holds memory, and we have waters here from the beginning of time. So it even holds the memory from the beginning of time. So inside of these tombs, these sections are just information portal points as well. There's actually parts within the pyramid where you could go, where through water and frequency, you could say cymatic frequency matching the same thing with what the stars are. They match these frequencies to certain locations within the entirety of this place, this realm that we're in, this earth that we're in, where think about it as an airport. Yeah. So instead of flying, you are able to tune the molecular or the cells within your body to the water that it's programmed as, to where it wants to take you. And you walk through there, and all of a sudden you're in China, you're in Antarctica, you're in the poles, the Northern Star. Yeah, because even when you go into the cathedrals, the original churches, all those windows, how they look like stars, they look like, cymatic frequencies. Well, that's exactly what they are. They are used for not only transportation, not only healing, yeah, but also accessing information itself too. Does that make sense?
It makes all the sense in the world. What's your initial thoughts of who actually created these tunnel systems? And is it, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Did the Great Pyramid come first? I have to imagine it didn't, because it would be built on top of it. But who built this?
Could I go back and answer your the question that you had
Yes.
asked before, which is, were they a power grid? And the answer to that is yes. They wore a power grid as well. You'll find on the top of the pyramids, as I remember seeing it through accessing that time event, there's actually gold on top of it. And this acted as a conductor and also a receiver and transmitter. Because why are the pyramids directly aligned to specific stars? When you go back into the original conversations that I've had with you, these stars are portal points. You could say when you access a star, it takes you to a certain kingdom. So this is where these entities are coming from. This is why they're aligned to them, because the waters deep down inside the pyramids are directly connected to the waters of that kingdom above. You could say the heaven above, the realm above, other cosmos, and they're able to come down very quickly into this physical heaven, this physical realm here, through just those connection points. They're called stargates. And this is the importance of stargates within the pyramids too, through water. So they have stargate portals to go up and back down, and they also have portals through water to traverse the entirety of this place. Yeah. So energy structure and also travel structure as well, and a halls of information. It's all three combined.
So, all right. So who built this? Who built all of it?
So this is where you will go into what I've seen in I've called it the third realm, which is where a lot of the individuals, what you would call the Anunnaki beings. Mm-hmm. So these are the entities that have built these structures, but they weren't the only ones here at that time when this was being built. This is where you had even the angels here at that time as well. And even if you go all throughout history, and also even the writings on the text and on the walls, you'll see that angels, all these beings were here because all of them were here. So, but specifically for the pyramids, they were built by the what you would call the Anunnaki. And their section, their realm, their heaven is in the third heaven within the entirety of this whole creation, this universe.
Interesting. Okay, so you talked about a hall of the tablets and things like that. Are we talking about the emerald tablets of Thoth? What kind of tablets are we talking about? What kind of information is down there?
I actually wrote some things down too, just so I'm on topic here, about the very tablets themselves. And I'm actually going to go into that. When you go down there, when you look at the tablets themselves, these tablets aren't physical pages on a book. Some of them are, but majority of them are not, as they were shown to me. And these tablets actually encode crystal light, or light within crystals within that tablet form to have so much information within it. Now, to make this make sense to you, there was I'm going to actually give you the exact study so people can look this up, because to verify what I'm seeing out of my body to be scientifically proven as well. There was actually a scientific thing done in the University of South Tampa, I believe that's how you call it. But they've created a 5D storage, a quartz crystal storage that is about 12 centimeters in diameter, and it holds over 360,000 terabytes of information. Wow. Yeah. Within light. That lasts over 13.8 billion years, the lifespan of that. So scientifically, they've already proven that you could store over 360,000 terabytes, or probably even more than that. Yeah, but you could store that much information inside of something about that big and probably about that thick.
Right. It sounds it just sounds, if I may geek out with you for a second, it sounds very Superman-esque in the hall, or in his the solitude up in the poles. The things the Kryptonians used to use were these crystals, and that's how that was their computer system. That is how they would translate all this
Yes,
information,
yes.
all the history and all that stuff. So I'm going geek. I'm going full geek here. And
Yeah.
the
I might as well say, because it actually says 360 terabytes. So, that could be 360 that's a lot of information.
yeah,
Yeah.
of course,
Of
that's insane.
there. And exactly what you said as well. So what I've seen within these tablets in the out of body is exactly what I thought was just out of body. It's like, oh, are they actually physically there? Or is it actually just, in my viewing, just their heaven? But no, these are physical things that are within those tunnel systems. And now that we have the science to prove it and the science to access that, you'll find the very tablets and you could say quartz crystals and stuff that they have there in tablet forms. People would be able to tap into that now and access the array of information physically, not just with their soul. And that's what's down there. The information of the creation of this place. And I've shared that with you too. How these structures were built. So when we talk about the tablets are a store of information for that aspect. And that's how they're stored. And it breaks down the very who we are as well.
And how we became who we became, and how the Anunnaki and all that kind of stuff. Our genes, the manipulation of our genes, and so on.
Well, yeah. You could say the manipulations of our genes, yeah, too.
Yeah, exactly. It's fascinating, man. All right, so what else is down there? So you have the giants, which I always find fascinating. That there's so much historical documentation of giants. But the beings that are down there, they're not just chilling, watching Netflix down there. You're talking that they're all vibrating at a different frequency, living in basically another dimension, but within that area. Like, you can just shift back and forth.
For individuals, if they were to look up real quick, to go back to what we were just talking about, there's a video. It's just type in man shining a flashlight on hieroglyphs. Mm-hmm. And you'll see, even within the very walls, are actual information that could be decoded physically now, because it's not just symbols that they're seeing. You could actually decode that physically now with the experiment that I've just talked about. Because you'll see when he's shining a flashlight, it's just normal. And then all of a sudden, it starts to absorb. This is also part of that as well. And if you looked it up, Alex, you would see what I'm talking about. I'm not sure if you've ever seen that before.
I have not. So there is the light gets shined on what? But there's no hieroglyphs in the pyramid. So what hieroglyphs are they talking about?
So just like maybe I'm pronouncing that wrong, but on how they have certain writings on the walls. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's basically even the writings on the walls, how he's shining the light there. And if you pull it up, you'll see what I'm talking about. As he's shining the light interacts with that differently, almost like it's absorbing that light instead of reflecting it in a way. It's just interacting with, which then aligns to the tablets, because the tablets are inside of this sort of a stone format, and also, like I said, a crystal format as well. But when you're able to take cymatic lasers and frequency, you can actually blend materials together. So you could blend rock, metal, crystal all together, because when you look at when frequencies played, even if you look at when someone has a strong bass system within their car, and there's YouTube videos you could pull up here, and just the very frequency even makes metal become liquefied and moves like that. So they were able to generate such a high amount of frequency where they could take multiple materials and blend them together. So even inside that rock formation, you'll find that there's mixed crystals within there, and also information codes of light of information, just like the 360 terabytes of information that I've talked about before, but even more.
So can you eventually, if someone had the technology, send a frequency high enough to dislodge or change the molecular structure of the walls, if you will, to basically be able to grab that information or grab these elements and separate them? Or you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure how they would do it, but I would imagine it would be the same process of what they've used in the university of even making that thing to begin with, of how they put data in and take data out. I would imagine it to be the same.
How deep does this tunnel system go?
So physically, one down there, it just I don't know what they've said on the study that they released,
Hmm.
but based off what I've seen, just visually seen, it seems pretty accurate to the tunnel system of how when I was walking down there out of my body.
Hmm. So
Yeah.
how deep are we
So,
looking at?
man, I actually don't know. I would say more than a few meters for sure.
Is it the same
Yeah.
height? Is it the same height versus depth of the pyramids? Like the highest point of the pyramid, just flip it and that's how deep it goes, or does it go deeper?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I got what you're saying. You know when they talk about the Great Flood
Of course.
or
Of course.
the mud flood and stuff.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah, of course.
all that is true because we are just seeing the tips of the pyramids right now. And based off what I was showing, and I would be pretty amazed if this could be now even scientifically backed, which I think it is, of all of them being connected. So those three pyramids that we see actually are all connected on the bottom. So we're just seeing, think about it as a giant castle. So you have those points on the castle. That's what those pyramids are. Because deep down, let's just say that's the top of what we're seeing. They actually go, there's more like that underneath. Yeah.
Really? But they've
Yeah.
never discovered that? In all the years that they've been looking at the pyramids, no one's ever thought of like, hey, let's dig a little deeper?
Well, apparently they're discovering it now. And that's
And of course, there's
uh,
politics and there's religion and there's
well
all sorts of things that stop it.
well think about the benefit of the control of suppression of the knowledge.
Of course.
So once that's fully discovered and the information's fully discovered there, then the benefit for humanity goes, okay, well then it goes way up there because that's also the release of certain energy and technology that only benefits humanity too. Because everything that they have made is perfectly matched to the celestial bodies above the sun, everything.
Yeah.
And it's
Everything.
still perfectly aligned to this day, which would be absolutely impossible with the current model that we have now. Because a lot of the things that we're given is based off lies and deception of to take us further away from the true nature of where we are and the information that we have access to now. And a lot of this information to even rebuild these pyramids, we actually do have a big portion of them that are suppressed.
Interesting. Well, I mean, a lot of these systems, these powers that be are starting to crumble. They're starting to lose their
All of
grip
them are.
because the shift is happening within humanity. The information starting to get out. People are becoming more curious. People are becoming more awake in general. And this is like the last death grip of these systems, whether it's religion or governments, politics, food, media, all of it seems to be kind of falling apart around us. Would you agree?
All of it has to, because all systems designed to control humanity need to fall because none of them are actually true states of freedom or even helping. Because once all is released and all is becoming released and available to people, and even people are seeing now, they're seeing certain things that are almost impossible to see just because now collectively they're all meeting that sound frequency of what I was talking about before with the ice cube. They're all meeting that state of frequency. And because now we're all seeing it, now all of a sudden things are becoming more visible for us, visible to us to see that it was always here. That's the thing. Everything
the
was
corrupt-
always here.
So the corruption, the suppression, the messaging, the hidden messaging, the control, it's been here since the beginning. But now we're starting to see, like, all of a sudden the curtain behind the great and powerful Oz is starting to be pulled back, and we're like, wait a minute, it's not. There is no great and powerful Oz kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
So what is the spiritual or energetic significance of these new hidden chambers and these new discoveries?
The powerful spiritual part of this is that people realizing that we're not alone. Yeah.
And when you say you were not alone, what do you mean by we're not alone? Like angels are not alone, or just other beings? Well, I can't. Anyone with 2 cents in their head, and this is my personal opinion, but you have to believe that this universe, there's other things out there. It just makes
Yeah.
logical sense. There's a waste of space and very egocentric of our part to think we're the only thing that's alive in this universe. It just makes no logical sense. So that's what you mean when we're not alone?
Yes. Yeah. So back in 2000, this was actually just the middle of 2024. I'll actually say on the tail end of 2024. I was given a message of we're all here. And I was like, so what do you mean by that? We're all here. And it was actually saying we're all here. So we're inside of these certain locations from, inside your skies, beneath the ground, and even inside of what people would call human bodies, but are not of human, but they look exactly like us. So all of these entities are here. And this is where you're getting now the disclosure of all of the races. Which is exactly what you said. You can't believe that we are not the only ones here. How could you believe that? But now it's all being disclosed too, of all these different races. So these beings have always been here. They've always been here. They've never truly left here inside this known construct, inside this known universe. Just some of them outside of our visual perception to see. This is why their craft, the craft that they use, are able to traverse into different dimensions within this reality, come in and appear here, and then come out just by changing the frequency of the very craft that they're using as well. So it's nothing's ever been lost. It's just been unseen to us, and now it's becoming seen. Even Alex, I put a limit on people. Probably unconsciously, by saying that we could only access 0 point something percent of the light spectrum. And it's only when you come out of your body, you can see the full array of the light spectrum. But even inside of the pyramids, the information that I found as well, and this is, people have said this already, but I like to get verified when I'm out of my body to see something. But when the pineal gland is fully active, you know what that does?
It opens up a lot. Yeah.
It opens up the full array of the light spectrum within the physical body. But because it's typically uncontrolled, this is where you get people that go they get called crazy, or they see things, prophetic visions, all happening in the physical flesh. But when that's active, then you're able to see a lot more at will here. Perceive a lot more, access a lot more, intuition, everything goes off the charts, because the same technology that they use to encode information within the tablets and also build the very pyramids themselves through sound frequency, cymatics, and laser high pressure light is all within your very body. Your body is of a frequency. You could change the frequency within your body based off your emotional state. Right here, right now, which then changes the very frequency of your cells within you. So the very thing that they're encoding these things with, even the experiment that I told you about, the scientific experiment with the information, that doesn't even come close to the information that we have within us, within our cells. So all of these structures, all of these tablets of store wealth of information seems far out there for some people, but everything was modeled perfectly off how our bodies and the very creation of this place So it's not mystical. It's just an understanding of the very nature of who and what we really are. And this place really is, because everything is encoded within you. Right now, if you were to do something, and people could do it too, I've practiced this many times. If you were to have a thought in your head, and I'll just do it publicly now so people could actually practice and just see it. Let's think of something. I'll have you pick it, Alex. Think of something crazy, something far out there. Could be something random. Just pick one thing and tell me. Could be an animal. Could be
Sure. A pink giraffe.
Okay, a pink giraffe. Now,
Sure.
That's actually cool. Now, what I want people to do, it's not going to show up immediately to you, but it's actually showing you the power of who you are now, and your word and your will, how this reality communicates with you if you are attuned to it. And it's only when you are not attuned to it or accustomed to it, these things don't appear to you, because you're not truly putting yourself into it. But a pink giraffe. So right now, I want everybody to think of a pink giraffe that's watching this and see how it plays out in your life, and say, show yourself to me, a pink giraffe, anywhere in my life, whether if that's online, someone does a painting, TV show, no matter which way it shows up, show me a pink giraffe, and have this in your mind constantly. Have it replay for like an hour, just, thinking about it. Show me a pink giraffe in any form that it shows or presents itself to me. And within a week's time, just observe. And I guarantee you, majority of you will see a pink giraffe. How would that be possible if you are not, if of the very nature of this place is not interacting with the very thoughts and the words of your soul? Do you see?
This is manifestation at its core, essentially. Manifestation, law of attraction, but even more than law of attraction, it's more of the manifestation. It's like you are the co-creator of your own reality by your thoughts. And it says, as Henry Ford said, if you believe you can or you can't, you're right. Because it's truly within your own mind to control the world you've built. Every single thing in reality, as we know it, this technology, the TVs we're watching this, the phone somebody's watching this on, all started with a thought. Someone came up with the idea and then manifested it into reality. All things, every single thing that was ever been created that's man-made, at least. Even then, some nature as well, because you can have that conversation with nature and create things to a certain extent.
Yep. Yeah. So, I mean, basic manifestation 101, but people are unaware of it. So they are so unaware of the power that's within them that they were also aware of as well. They're so unaware of it. So they still consume, unaware that, okay, well, what I consume physically has an effect on my physical body. Yeah. But it's everything. It's also what you listen to. And this is why it would be what they watch, social media, everything needs to be, you need to be 100% aware of yourself. And that is truly knowing the self at that point. When you do that, when you become 100% aware, people right now are like the Walking Dead. They're so unaware of the things that they do, of how much they influence things, influence the very body as well. But there's something else too that I've seen with inside the halls, and this goes back to still 2024. This is a 2024 experience that I had too, where I was showing how they were sustaining themselves. Some of these beings were sustaining themselves in that time period. And what I was showing, deep in the oceans, there's like this seaweed that they used to use to eat. And at the time, I just brushed that off. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that's just a seaweed. So that's still physically within the oceans themselves, deep down in there, that they used to use to sustain the body. Yeah, very, very effectively. And then I started to intuitively look up seaweed, and then I came across sea moss, and Now, CMOS isn't it of that which I was shown, but it's pretty close because CMOS, we have over 120 minerals in our body. CMOS has over 92 of those. Sorry, I said that wrong. CMOS, the physical body has over 102 minerals within it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But CMOS contains over 92 of those minerals. So when you're able to even see that connection to CMOS, and also certain parts deep within the ocean still has a certain seaweed that the human body could eat that contains every single mineral for the body.
And if you're able to purify the body in a way, you can't evolve, you can't raise your frequency if you're putting in things to your body that have a lower frequency. So if you're going to eat fast food, which is super processed, super chemically, so all this kind of stuff, it's very difficult to ascend. It's very difficult to do out of body. It's very difficult to meditate even, because the body is fighting. It's kind of fighting to, you're basically at war with what you're putting into it. But when you eat something that is more holistic and helps you raise your frequency, that's when you're able to do these things. Is that a fair statement? Does that make sense to you?
So yes, it makes sense. I would change it a little bit differently, because Please. It's not necessarily so the soul already has access and can access this regardless of the physical state of the body.
Course.
But
of course.
But the thing is, when you heal the body properly and you start doing things in accordance to the body of what it should be doing, then this is where your true abilities and gifts come through. Your true abilities come through. You could say the whole acoustic sound frequency that your body is starts to purify itself. And then all of your intuitive awareness, your psychic abilities, everything elevates from there. And you could say true ascension of the physical body, yes, is in the health of the physical body as well. Because what is this is also something that was shown as well with the pyramids too, how they have 12 stargates. And something that I was shown related to health is to access the 12th stargate within you. You could say what people also call the 12th chakra. Yeah. Is to use wormwood, rid yourself of parasites. I was actually told this in the halls of Amenti, that wormwood parasites, cleanse yourself of parasites and you will access the 12th stargate within you. And what is a parasite? It's blocking of energy. So even cleansing of the body of parasites, fasting, CMOS, all these things are going to do is it's going to rid the body of toxins and disease and any diseases, get rid of those, flush them out, to help the body be optimal for your soul's will.
And this is something I've been really starting to get into more and more lately, is all of the masters, the ascended masters, the walking masters, even who are alive today, there is a connection between what their body is doing and their ability to reach nirvana, to reach enlightenment, because of certain things that they're doing with the body, because these are the rules of the game. Yes, the soul can reach it because the soul is the soul, but the soul is trapped in this situation. So if the soul is trapped in this meat sack that we walk around with, this avatar that we're in, there are the rules of there is vibration, and what you put in your system can lower your vibration or raise your vibration. So I've always used this lovely, I do it as a party trick, but I'm like, anyone got a bottle of rum, bring it over here. And they bring a bottle of rum. I'm like, okay, put your arm out, put the rum on the table, put your arm out and hold it strong. Don't let me bring it down with this finger. And it's rock solid. I go, take that rum, hold it to your chest. Now watch. Yep. Boom. They lose all energy. They can't, they big giant dudes can't fight my finger when there's alcohol near them, or when there's like a synthetic sugar. I do real sugar versus a synthetic sugar, like an Equal or Sweet and Low or something like that, or Splenda. And I don't even let them know what's there. And sometimes they're like, what the? So there's a frequency thing there. There's something going on in the bottle of rum which is a lower frequency that brings down our energy that doesn't allow us to do certain things. Does all of that make sense? And have you experienced it yourself?
Well, they call it spirits for a reason.
Ooh, I like that. Why do they call it spirits, sir?
It's not necessarily that a thing could devastate. Yes, it can devastate the field, but when you understand who you are, when you carry a certain frequency within you,
yes.
Then you could transmit those things. Yes, you can, but there's a certain point where that could even take a toll, even on the strongest. You see, and so this is where.
Well, I don't mean to cut you off, but like the Maharishi, there's a great story I've always told. The Maharishi, they gave him a whole bunch of psilocybin, not psilocybin, but mushrooms, like peyote mushrooms, psychedelic mushrooms. And he goes, take one, guru. And he took the entire bag, like, 50 doses or something like that. And he just smiled. And he's like, this does nothing to me. So he was able to transcend the physical effects of this substance that was being put into his body. The frequency of that was very different, but his frequency was so strong that he completely it just didn't even bother him. And in the lovely quote that he said, he's like, why, I don't need these to go to the place that these things are supposed to take you. I'm there all the time. So it's kind of like, oh, okay.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that's exactly what I was alluding to as well. Because the thing is, the moment you put something into the body, you give life to it as well. Mm-hmm. So we are constantly giving life to and death to something based off of our field, our electromagnetic field that could be measured. And the stronger that this field is, this is where transmuting certain things can be done. This is where you could get miracles happening within the body, even though someone's doing something wrong. But like I said, there's always a point. It's always a double-edged sword, because yes, you could become a total master manipulator of the very place that you're within. But, how long could you be infected with parasites before it actually takes a toll?
At a certain point. Yeah. At a certain point
before it takes a toll. Yeah.
So going back to the pyramids, what else do you want to talk about in regards to what you've discovered or what you've seen, and what are we in store for in the future that has yet to be discovered about the pyramids that you've been shown?
Based off of what I've seen, and also to be modest with certain things that I share too. If they were to dig down, based off my outer body seeing those things, they will find certain beings that are there.
Beings that we could see at this frequency.
Physically see. Yes. Okay. Because even when you talked about the giants, some of them are actually still here. And I viewed them out of my body. And then also, to verify this even more, there was you could pull it up. It's called the red-haired giant military operation where they, So
I've heard about it.
Yep. They are still here, and they are within the ground beneath us.
How are they surviving?
And so,
how are they surviving? What are they eating? What is the deal? Like, how does that work?
Good question.
Next time you're down there, ask them, sir.
Good question. But they would find these beings. They would find the giants. They would find what you would call some of the Anunnaki beings. They would even find, I believe, even if you even went further into the pyramids inside of Antarctica, they would even see, or they have already seen, but it's just covered up, the stasis bodies of the original angels, which come from the seventh heaven, the seventh realm, which came down here from Eden, you could call the Seven Sisters, into the land of Lemuria, which is actually located in between Australia and New Zealand, which is Lemuria right there. So
that was Lemuria? That's where it was?
Yeah, based off what I've seen, yeah.
And where was Atlantis? We must know.
But this is where you go into the land of Thoth.
Hmm.
Yeah, template of freedom. Well, so what is America's template right now? Freedom. So what was America's template is freedom. What was Atlantis template? Also freedom. When I say the destruction of the old world is real,
Hmm.
what people are searching for when it comes to Atlantis was also the land of America, which also is where Thoth resided as well, within those lands. I know this may be, yeah,
Yeah. That's
yeah,
why I asked.
yeah, but that's what, because this is yeah, so I'm going through just to, it's actually in the first page that I wrote that down of one of targeting that, which is in America. Yeah.
Interesting.
And even when you go into the Inky, is actually part of, that's where you'll get the original three pyramids, which is that's the land of that when this time period was here. Because like I said, the pyramids are even in America.
Of course they are.
And
Yeah.
so what are the pyramids? There, it's not just, typically when I talk about that, people just think, oh, it's just those three pyramids there. But these beings were able to travel through. Yeah.
Hmm.
And the land of Thoth and the land of Atlantis was the land of America, freedom.
The pyramids that are found are all within the 32 parallel or something like that. Like there's this section of the earth near the equator where all of these pyramids around the world, from Japan to India to the Americas to Egypt, and they're always around this framework, this kind of space around the earth, which then of course helps the theory of the electrical power grid kind of vibe as well.
Yeah, the electrical power grid, and also think about them as airports as well, because they're all tuned to, you could say, to the 33rd,
Hmm.
that tuning through the water,
Right?
through the portals, to just go and all
In and
around.
out, in and out.
Yeah, yeah, because even like I said, Inky, that those original lands were what people are saying the pyramids are, is Inky, which is that pyramid structure is of that creation there. And
Jeez.
even go into, yeah,
Yeah.
so
What
that's
is
sort of, there's more information there, but I'll leave it there for now.
what are we going to find in the future? What do you think that there's going to be discovered that you've seen that has not been revealed yet in regarding the pyramids?
It's already been found, because many people have already stated it in the past, but now I'm coming with, okay, I've seen this out of body too, but it's, as I've stated in the beginning, the technology is, okay, well, how did they build those things? Well, sound, lasers. Yeah, you're able to levitate even objects with sound itself. This is also proven. That's how it was done. So you're getting the release of that information, getting the release of finding, you could say, energy, how they're able to do it, how they're able to generate energy from that as well, beings as well. You could say part of the whole disclosure project that's going on at the moment. This is also a major part of it. Yeah.
There's a lot of, I've noticed that there is a lot of disclosure going on recently throughout the world. But like, just as a perfect example, the JFK assassination, and that paperwork being released and finally being shown to people. All sorts of things that are starting to come out that have been hidden for a
Everything.
long, long time. And it seems like it's going to get more and more and more and more stuff is going to continue to be revealed. And it's happening so fast, man. It's happening so fast. It's, our heads are spinning. Our heads are spinning. You were saying what you ingest, meaning what you hear, what you watch, social media, affects your frequency, your vibration. I'll tell you, I stopped watching any and all news for a long time ago. And
Yeah.
I feel so optimistic, but when I talk to my father, he's like, the world's coming to an end.
Yeah.
Because that's all he does is live watching these news shows and cable news. And I'm just like, no, you're okay. I mean, look, there's a lot of crap going on in the world, but there's always been a lot of crap going on in the world. Like, it just seems a lot more because we're more connected, and there's also so much so much change, man. This thing is changing so rapidly. From your point of view of what you've seen being out of body, why are we speeding up so much? Why is everything like from, I mean, honestly, from the 90s, the second the internet showed up, it just started, everything started to speed up more and more and more. AI just showed up 3 years ago. Really, in the mass way, it showed up about 3 years ago. Now it's becoming an integral part of our world.
The AI is a past technology, even from the pyramids too.
Well, sir, you'll have to explain that. How does that work? Well, I mean, if you look at the crystals, then that makes sense. You have processing power to be able to do it.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's all old technology. Everything that we are discovering now is old technology from there. Everything. Yeah. So even the acoustic levitations, old technology from there. Mm-hmm. Now we're finding it out here. The Ankh.
They've done it.
Yeah. Was part of an acoustic device. Yeah. They call it a birthing, the portal of the womb, the symbology for that. But it was actually an acoustic device, the Ankh. Red mercury as well. What would they say? Oh, mercury is a bad thing. But there's also red mercury as well. That is part of, you ever put you ever watch certain things that they do now where they put a light on mercury and it lights it up? Yeah, you could say that's part of the energy that was being used there as well through some of the churches as well. But when you look at red mercury, which is something that I've which is going to come out as well, it's also part of the whole stuff that liquids that they used to use.
There is actually, I've seen experiments where they actually lifted things with sound. Not 20 tons, not 80 tons, but you can see that the technology is there. The signature of sound is fascinating. Like if you just throw that little sand on top of a speaker and you hit a certain note and it hits that same design every time, like that's fascinating. That is fascinating.
Acoustic levitation is a real thing. That's and the only thing that's stopping from the larger objects is just how big that instrument is that they're using. You ever watch someone blow into those massive trumpets, like those traditional old, and the sound?
You mean like the Tibetan one, the one that has a big curve at the bottom? Yeah.
Yeah. So so imagine something like that, but with precision, and made with precision. Mm-hmm. And if you were to generate a loud sound to match the very molecules within, let's just say, a rock formation, you will be able to lift that as well. So it's just a matter of scale is pretty much the issue. Because if acoustic levitation is already happening now at a small scale with a certain instrument that's being used, well, you make that instrument larger and therefore the effects will be on par.
And also more precise. Yeah. So it's precision and scale is what you need.
Yes.
Because I'm assuming they didn't have giant horns that were 450 feet wide and thousands of feet high to be able to move these things. It was probably something much smaller, but the technology, the precision, you could you can grab this and just go, okay, time to go, and you start moving things. How did they, from your understanding, go ahead.
Sorry. Now that we're talking about levitation too, because even within levitation, so even going through some of the stuff that I was showing, breaking things down, writing things down, going over it for years. So the moment you touch something, you're not actually touching it. It's a magnetic repulsion that's going on. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we're talking about levitation of physical objects. How do you levitate the body or things that they were doing back then as well? Supernatural abilities.
This would be,
yeah. So this would be because what you're doing, if we scientifically are an electromagnetic field. And everything we touch, it's propulsion. We're actually not touching it. The moment you strengthen that magnetic field and you really harness that, then you would be able to widen that gap, essentially. And this is where you'll see physical levitation is born within the physical flesh, or walking on water. The electromagnetic field of the physical body is so strong that then you're able to do telekinesis, levitation, all these supernatural abilities that seem far out there. But when you apply basic acoustic, scientific levitation, things that are already out there, and scientific things that have already been proven, and you just look at it from a different view, if we could generate a strong enough electromagnetic field as they were doing in the past, you would see even the supernatural abilities. We would essentially be superhumans in a sense. Yeah, and living a lot longer, doing a lot more things that seem far out there. But some people are already doing it now. You know, they've already been documented. This is a thing, but it's just been highly suppressed.
I want to ask you, a lot of South American pyramids are built very differently but similar to the Great Pyramids. The way the rocks are like 2 different size rocks, or 5 different size rocks, and they all kind of mix in like puzzle pieces. It looks like they were almost like poured into molds, and they're so precise that archaeologists didn't believe that like it went all the way through. They're like, oh, it's just at the front, probably in the middle, it goes off. Well, some earthquakes loosened some of of the rocks or the stones, and it's perfectly precise all the way back to the whole size of the stone. What's the technology behind that? Because I get the levitation, I get the sound as a way, I get all of that. But this preciseness, it looks like it was almost poured in, almost like a manipulation of the stone molecules themselves. From your understanding, from your experiences and research, what do you think that is? How did they do it?
So based off out of body and also seeing things with also verifying that, all that is once you match a frequency of stone, and this is already out there, once you match a frequency of stone, you could actually blend materials into it. You could actually make it very, very, you could say liquid. You could take the stone as an ice cube and turn it into a liquid, back to an ice cube, essentially, back to a solid, liquid to solid. You see?
So they're just they're pouring that in essentially, or moving it and just playing with it, almost like Play-Doh.
It would be a manipulation of sound within the physical objects. You put 2 objects close to each other with sound, and they would so basically a rock here and a rock here, 2 different rocks, and then they're vibrating to where the molecules are able to open up just enough to where they're inside, and then they set, and then there you go.
My God, Darius, every time I talk to you, my head hurts, dude.
But the thing is, but the thing is what I'm saying is it's not, it's out there too, is what I'm saying. So
yeah. Let me ask you this, man. What is the spiritual implications to all of this disclosure, all of these discoveries, all of this technology that's starting to come out? What is the spiritual purpose of all of this for our own rising in consciousness, the evolution of humanity's consciousness as a whole? What does this all mean, and why is it all happening now as opposed to 50 years ago or 50 years from now?
It's so all of this alludes to freedom, really. Mm-hmm. It just alludes to true freedom back here. People experiencing that fully and completely. So you could say from the giant trees and the war and things that I've talked about before, like all of it is just a movement to be 100% free. And how do we do that? Well, if you mix freedom with the consciousness that also suppresses people now, and you mix that together, you're never going to be free. So it's actually awakening humanity, awakening individuals to such a state to where when they access certain things, it frees everything. No more control. I mean, that's where everything's moving to. No control, no more borders, no more boundaries, no more limitations. Because then, other than that, if it doesn't quite move there, then it's always a facade of freedom, never trueness of it.
That's what essentially cryptocurrency is doing. It is liberating us from the central banking system, essentially.
But it's going to go. Things will go farther than that. Based off, yeah. It'll go into money becomes no object anymore for people to live life. Where things that they place in movies like replicators and things.
What do you mean?
So the ability to replicate certain materials is based off certain technology that I've seen, and Antarctica out of my body is actually a true thing. Yeah. So technology will help people to be free in that aspect, but it should get to a point where even people start to realize, well, if technology could do this, is what I've stated to you in the beginning, if technology could do certain things, a piece of metal do this from the frequency, we should get to a point where we realize that that is already us. We have metals within our blood, iron within our blood. We have sound within us. We are it. Everything is within us. And so, yeah, it's just freedom is the end goal, true freedom.
Brother, I'm going to ask you a few questions, new questions that you haven't asked you before, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. I asked you once, what would you, if you had a chance to go back in time and speak to little Darius, what advice would you give him? This new question is, what advice would little Darius give you in today's world?
It would be, all of this is an understatement, but it would be never to lose the child within you. And the reason why I say that is not necessarily to be childish, but to never lose the essence of you. Because the moment you lose that, of who you are, you lose freedom permanently until you realize it again. Yeah. So the moment you lose the understanding of who you are, you could say you lose that freedom permanently until you realize, wait a second, that's who I am. And then you gain it back again. That's true loss of freedom. It's forgetting that. Permanent isn't the best word, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Absolutely. If you if you could ask God, the divine source, one question, what would it be?
Asking that question would be also asking myself that question. And what would I ask that to myself is I would say, show me with no limits, borders, or boundaries or limitations.
Beautifully said. And how do you define liberation in this life?
Love and remembering your home. That's true liberation right there. Because the moment you remember that and you let go of, I mean, think about when someone's on their deathbed. The liberation only happens when they finally release themselves. There's no more burden. That's the liberation. Yeah.
What is love?
So you could say we've categorized love as a definition of a certain feeling. And we categorize that, and we already put massive conditions on love itself, which that's what love is not. And we put all these conditions and we say, this is love, but all those come with boxes and conditions. And you can't have ultimate expression of freedom with a limitation. Like I've said before, the same thing, you cannot have unconditional love with a judgment. So true love is actually you as an individual, 100% being their authentic self. Authentic self with no judgment of yourself is true love, because you will never find true love if you cannot even accept and be your authentic self. That is the highest state. Love and the authentic self are one and the same thing. So denying of self, denying of you just being who you are is also denying love.
My friend, where can people find out more about you and the amazing work you're doing in the world?
I would rather people just read the mission of what I do, which is on my site. Okay. Yeah, DariusJWright.com. Yeah.
Perfect.
And just read my mission. It gives you the whole reason why I do what I do, what's even motivated me to do this and to begin with.
And do you have any parting messages for the audience, my friend?
No, man. Well, I think I've said them all. I appreciate you having me on to share this with you guys. Yeah, for sure.
Well, hopefully, my friend, the next time we meet, we'll be in person here at the studios in Austin. We got to get you across the world to come over here and visit us. I think maybe sometime this year, hopefully, if not next year. But you got to come here eventually. So when you do, the door is always open for you, my friend.
I'll make a statement here. The next time, if people see me on Next Level Soul, will be in person.
Oh, yeah. Stop it. Don't promise things you can't keep. I appreciate it. Listen, okay, I appreciate you. Thank you again for everything you're doing to awaken this planet, my friend. So thank you.
Yeah, cheers, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks for watching. Click on one of the videos below to continue your journey, and don't forget to subscribe.